Ah, is this sweet? I can't tell.
I'm not doing it.
Sing it, Keith.
No! I'm not doing it. I'm not singing DMX. I'm not street.
He's a pussy. I am. Haken with their new album Affinity. It's their fourth album. It's to follow up to The Mountain, which is a fucking great album.
It was
So good, it was my album of the year, 2013.
It's my runner-up, and I think it's my second or third favorite album so far of the 2010s. I forget.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly where it was at.
Yeah. We reviewed their first track they put out, Initiate, and we really liked it. But now the whole thing is here, and it's awesome. What you think?
This album is fucking incredible. I'm gonna go just so I can say it, and then I hopefully won't repeat myself 100 times. But I'm not sure if this album is. I don't think that this album is better than The Mountain. I personally, I think I prefer the more atmospheric and almost like floaty quality that The Mountain had when you would listen to it. Listening to songs like, you know, Atlas Stone and things like that. Like, I'm not sure if there's an experience like as kind of like almost transcendental on this album is that. But this album is fucking great. And that's the thing. This album's different. Again, whereas The Mountain, again, is a lot more atmospheric, and there's a lot more weird things on that album. Like, they do like something that's kind of like Gregorian chant, and then there's the Cockroach King, which has like the little acapella section in the first part, and there's not really too much like that I noticed on this album. But the only thing that was like really out there that I noticed was during the song "The Endless Knot." It kind of gets almost like electronic or almost dubstep sounding in the middle. I know it's not. I know it's all done with the guitar, but it kind of sounds like that, which I was like, oh, that's different, which is part of the reason why that's my favorite song on the album, or one of my favorite songs. But this album just fucking goes, man. Like, I was jamming this album a lot, especially like on my way here, and then because I was down in Oxford all morning, and so I drove up here to come hang out with the guys, and I'm like, fuck, I just listened to a good bit of this album, and just in no time at all. Like, that's when you know it's a good album, is when you can just kind of put it on and, you know, you just there.
Oh shit!
Oh,
There's a nice big spider about to crawl on Luke's face.
Yeah.
there we go. We saved you. Like, a lot of times when I am anticipating an album, I'm like, oh, I want to hear some fucking cool songs on this album. Whereas with this album in particular, I'm more like, I just want to listen to this album. You know, the whole thing. Nothing really in
Motherfuckers
particular.
trying to get away.
And I'm so transfixed by the spider. But one of the things that it's kind of the opposite of a lot of times when I think of bands and stuff. In a ways, like comparing it to their last album, The Mountain, I think, is a better album, but I feel like there's, in general, at least maybe not better songs, but individual songs that I like better on this album, if that makes sense. Like, as a whole, The Mountain, I feel like as a whole was just kind of good. Whereas like this album, it has its fair share of these very mellow, very emotional moments. So songs like Lapse, Earthrise is an example of that. Bound by Gravity is another one of my, probably, of the softer songs, that's probably my favorite song of the album. How it just kind of flows, and then it kind of, you know, it doesn't go like balls in heavy, but it, you know, it kind of just comes up towards the end, which I thought was really cool. And then, like I said, I like The Endless Knot song. It has like an energy and a cool style about it, and like just about every song in this album sounds different, and that's kind of something that I wish a lot more bands could easily do. Like with just about anything. Like even listening to what's the first album that comes to my mind that came out recently? The most recent Killswitch Engage. You can kind of be like, okay, yeah, this sounds, all right, fine, Some of these songs kind of are the same style, sound the same. But and then you get songs like 1985 on here, which kind of goes all over the fucking place. Like it starts off like a song I would expect to hear like on the radio in 1985, and it's got this cool like rock groove beat, and then it just fucking goes all over the place afterwards. Same thing kind of with Architect. The Architect is another song that just kind of goes. Like that's probably the best way to describe this album. This album is an experience. It's not just an album you listen to, it's an experience, and it just goes. Like you can just put this on, and it is a great soundtrack to whatever the hell you were doing at that time. Driving, you'd be working on something, doing what the fuck ever. Like this album is just good music. Vocally, I like the vocals like a lot on this album. Again, probably my favorite vocal track is "Bound by Gravity." I really like the vocals on that track. I just think they're really cool, and there's even scream vocals on like "The Architect." Yes, that was a song, and so it's just like vocally. Ross Jennings, I like his vocal style in the sense that like nobody sounds like him. There's not really anybody else that does that. And I love the fact that this band can just, do things that in almost most other situations, if somebody were to try some of this stuff, like if somebody were to do like a riffs that sound like dubstep, I would be like, I don't, but it's perfectly fine with this band. They make it work. The guitars are super technical, and it's just literally, in my opinion, there is no better progressive band than Haken. And this is just a great album that is a great example of that. And so, this is definitely, I'm calling it. This will probably be number 1 or number 2 probably at the end of the year, unless something else comes out that completely blows my mind. This will either be number 1 or number 2 at the end of the year.
Yeah. The first time I heard The Mountain, I'll never forget the first time I listened to that album. I was in school, and I heard of this album from this band called Haken, and I heard so many good things about this album. I listened to it, and I was completely fucking floored by how good it was. It immediately became one of my favorite albums of all time, and so I had pretty high expectations for this, and dude, they totally delivered on every single front. I mean, I was... First time I listened to this, I was playing some Destiny. I was doing that Iron Banner grind. Gotta get the 335 light, man. And I put this album on, and for the hour that this album was on, I fucking cranked it up real loud, turned the fucking game down, and it completely just soaks you in. And that's the best way to enjoy this band, and especially this album. Just fucking listen to it, man. You can be doing something else, but fucking block out everything. Turn it up really loud and just fucking let everything come to you. It is an absolute... Keith said it the best. It is an experience, and it is an experience that I just want to relive over and over and over and over again. And it's... To me, Haken, especially with like The Mountain and this album, there's very few albums out there that come out where I feel that it's such a special experience to listen to the first time, and it's just something that you kind of never forget hearing it for the first time. And this is one of those bands, man. They're such a special band. They're such a good band. They are the best progressive band that you could listen to. I would say, in terms of just pure progressive music in 2016, they are better than Opeth, than Dream Theater, than Rush, than Mastodon. They are better than them. As soon as Initiate starts, man, in some of these songs, they have such a kind of an emotional response to me, where the guitar is just so beautiful, or the vocals are just hitting that right note that's just like, wow. It's just, there's so many there are countless breathtaking moments on this album, just that completely just blow you away, whether it's vocally or guitar wise or whatever. To me, this album is a little bit more timid than The Mountain, you could say. I felt like The Mountain was a little bit louder. It was a little bit on the heavier side. It was a lot more grand. This album is a little bit toned down, but not really. It still has, kind of the progressive nature that Haken has. It still has, that overall sound that's great. But, there's very few moments on here that I felt were very aggressive. The Endless Knot starts off pretty aggressive. No, I'm not saying everything's slow and fucking that. I'm just saying, in terms of like fucking heaviness, because this band can get pretty fucking heavy. I take the Architect, the middle part. There's some fucking really low tuned guitars. It's very heavy, and then there's the scream vocals on in that song as well. That song in itself is an experience. That is a 15-minute long fucking epic jam that I love. Two songs come to mind to me that just blow me away, and that's Earthrise is probably my favorite song on here. I just find it to be so gorgeous and wonderful, and it's just like you just want to cry tears of joy. Another song is The Red Giant. I love the ending of that song. It's just wonderful. It's really hard to put into words, this album, because it's something that you do need to experience very, very much. You need to give it a listen, give it a very good listen, to where you just kind of... So again, Ross Jennings is probably one of the best vocalists fucking in music today. He has a very great range to him. He has a great sound to him. He has a great rhythm to his vocals. No matter what situation, soft, heavy, whatever, it's wonderful. I think one of the best vocal performances on here is the track Initiate. I mean, those vocals are great. And then The Architect is another one that really stands out to me. When he uses his higher range on his vocals... I just find it to be so just incredible, man. There's very few bands out there that will literally floor me as much as Haken does, to the point where I just go, dude, like, you are literally at the top of your game. You are in your prime. There's no one that does this better than you. This band they're totally original. They are fantastic. And this is just another example of another fucking great album from a fucking great band. This might be my favorite album that I've heard this year. This will without a doubt be in my top 3 probably. It's going to be very hard to top this album, man. It is so wonderful. There is no like, I'm trying to think how to put it, kind of like a goofy type part, like a Cockroach King. Nothing crazy like that on here, but there are a lot of really great moments on here. I love this album. This album makes me want to cry. And Haken too is a band that will just always put a smile on your face. To me, every time I listen to them, I just kind of get happy. I feel uplifted. They're great. This album's fucking great, man. There's nothing wrong with this album at all, to me. It is an hour of just top-notch fucking music, period. Genre aside, it doesn't even matter. This is great music that you all should listen to. And I went into FYE when this album came out, which is probably one of the only real local music stores to us that you can buy physical things.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and they had a section for Haken. All they had was a used copy of The Mountain, which who the fuck would get rid of The Mountain?
Yeah.
But they had that. They did not have their new album. Apparently they didn't get any copies. That's fucked. I'm going to order this motherfucker. It's so good.
Yeah.
Any last
awesome.
words before you die?
No.
What's your last words?
What's
your last meal? I already know what your last meal would be.
Chicken in a bag. I'd probably eat a little bit more expensive than that.
Steak. The bloodiest steak you can have.
And shrimp.
Steak and shrimp.
Maybe throw some cottage cheese in there just so I could be weird.
I would have a burrito. Burritos are the best fucking thing in the world. Way off track. What would you give this?
I'll give it a... Fuck it, it'll be the first time I've ever done it. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. This album's amazing.
9.75 out of 10. To me. It's fucking god tier. But I feel the Mountain is a little bit better.
I'd give Mountain a 10 out of 10 too.
I gave the Mountain a 10 out of 10 when I
but in the sense that if this album was a little bit more in the style of the Mountain, then yeah, I'd probably back it down. But since it is a little bit different, I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's one thing that's great about it. It is totally different from the Mountain.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So
I hope every album, and I'm sure it will. I hope every album from this band is different. Fucking listen to it.
Yeah, it's good shit.
There's other things up on our channel that you should watch. Just watch all of it.
Watch all of it.
All of it, and then hit the subscribe button so you can get even more.
All the time. Sometimes. Yes.